If you would, sir, you just grab one, pass them behind you. Thank you very much for letting me borrow the sand. All right, long story short, it's a conversation we have a lot in my house because my wife would love to have a bigger kitchen. I'm going to get it for her. But at the same time, she asked me a question. She said, is this a good time to buy a house? I said, you know what? I don't think so. And when I combine that statement with the research required by this speech, that is the conclusion I reached, and I'm getting ready to share with you. In your handouts, you'll notice each link in the front is where I gathered this information. I went to government sites, I went to Freddie Mac, I went to Federal Reserves, several different areas. The second page is terminology that I defined, because when I started looking into this, I wasn't sure I understood why. I did have this gut feeling, but I wasn't sure how accurate it was. So going from the top down, on the second page, I'm going to show you the definitions. I'm going to be talking about fixed rate mortgages. I'm going to be talking about ARMs, adjustable rate mortgages. I'm going to be talking about subprime ARMs. I'm going to be talking about option ARMs and Freddie and Fannie Mae. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. Sorry. One thing that happened is in 2003, the total amount of ARMs, adjustable rate mortgages, for all of the mortgages in the United States was half of 1%. By 2006, that percentage went up to 12%. ARMs, total mortgages in the United States. The ARMs, as you know, the majority of them reset in 2 to 3 years. That's how they were promoted. We saw the television commercials. Over here, and sorry about the fonts being so small for the people in the back, but I'll point it out. For the first 6 months of 2009, this shows foreclosures that are started for different mortgages. Subprime ARM, 43%. Everything else, 8% for FHA and VA loans, and everything else was less than 20. But subprime ARMs that weren't even 1% in 2003 are now 43% of new foreclosures this year. So I got thinking, I've heard this is over. I heard the mortgage crisis is done. Subprime ARMs are. Subprime ARMs are now maturing. They don't market that heavily. This trend right here just shows you one of the examples of how fuzzy the picture can look. One thing when you're trending data is they really don't know how accurate the data is going to be for a couple of years after the fact. They can't tell you in 2011 what's going to happen. They can't tell you in 2009 what really happened until probably 2011. But this right here, okay, from one of the sources, this spike right here that people in the back should be able to see, is the subprime ARMs. This is the commitment of those mortgages in billions of dollars. Down here is your conventional loans and everything else. These lines are specifically resets. This is when the subprime ARM reset happened. And their interest rates went up, their mortgage payments went up, and the foreclosure started. You can see the subprime crisis is over. But the same amount, option arms are coming right behind it. These option arms were the ones that said on the television commercials, you could buy a $500,000 home for only $800 a month. Well, how can that be? You can make that minimum payment, but you roll the rest of the payment into the loan, which makes sense if the house is increasing in value, because you're like, well, at the end, it's going to be worth more anyway. But when the house is going down in value, order prices are stable. It's not. Because that means your $200,000 house might cost you $250,000 by the time it resets. It might only be worth $170,000. So when that happens, you can't refinance. This spike started in 2009. I mean, it's always been going on, but the marketing stuff increased when the recession started to hit because people weren't getting the loans they could get. So people with no money down or credit were able to qualify for these option arms, which are very dangerous. I asked myself, I see this line coming down, does that mean it's over? And believe it or not, this is actually 2012 when this line goes down. These are anticipated resets of the option arms. I said, well, that would mean that they're not doing anything, that the they're not really marketing. Here's an example of a current ad that I found. Option arms are advertised for $258 a month. You can save money. Your fixed loans up here, your 1 year and 5 year arms are down here, and then the option arms are even lower. So I took the calculator where they were marketing it. Oops, sorry. And I said, what happens if the rate changes by 2.5%? That means my mortgage payments go up to $1,000 a month at the arm reset. So it was $537 5 years later, over $1,000. It doubled. That's where our foreclosures are coming from. This isn't option arms. This is the regular rate. Fannie and Freddie Mac are not being nice to us. The government's prime has not changed. The bank rates have not changed. The bank's primes have not changed. Freddie and Fannie Mac are now fully invested into by us. The federal government has given them money and bailed them out. This is June of this year. This line up top is conventional loan interest rates. The lines down here are the ARMs. Freddie and Fannie right now are marketing ARMs heavier than a conventional loan. If you go to get a new mortgage today, you are going to see that the conventional loan mortgage is higher by about almost 1% than the ARM. This is an example. I said, geez, I hope the credit ratings went up and they're not giving away that easily. This is an example of the upper right. You'll all be able to find it when you go home. The upper right-hand corner of Yahoo Real Estate has this ad that shows last week the 30-year fixed rate was 5.17%. This week, 5.27%. The conventional rates are going up, but every arm, the 1 year arm, 3.94, it's dropped. The 5-to-1 arm, 4.34, it's dropped. Each arm interest rate has decreased over the last week. They are marketing these heavily. I don't think the crisis is over. There's already an anticipated bubble coming from option arms until the end of 2012. And they're still marketing. They're still trying to push them towards this. So hold on to your seats. Remember the speech I gave a while back that said we might be in a big truck, turning away from the ditch, and if we're not careful, we're going to turn too hard and go into the other one? That might be great. That might be exactly